Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. This channel is about sharing my love for watches with other watch enthusiasts like yourselves. And I have made many reviews from Seiko to Rolex, so if that is your kind of thing, please subscribe to the channel. I will leave in the description below all the links to my other videos, so don't forget to check them out. If you followed my latest video, you know that I have just bought this amazing, quirky Seiko 5 Sports that I nicknamed the Avocado. And it is a great watch. And the initial intent was to pair it and to compare it to the SKX. But then I realized that this watch, the Seiko 5, is much too different to pair it with the SKX. So I went ahead and bought another version, which resembles much more the SKX. And I will be reviewing that one because that will allow me to make a much more in-depth comparison with the outgoing SKX. So let's see that. So let's see the beauty. Typical Seiko 5 box that I talked about in the previous video. And here it is. Wow, this is a pretty watch. I know not many people are fans of the fake aged patina, of the yellowish patina, but I think it goes very well with this watch, and it matches the chapter ring beautifully. Yes, this is from the Suits line of the new Seiko 5s, and I believe that it's a home run, at least stylistically. Now for the dimensions. This watch is 42.5 millimeters wide, 13.4 millimeters in height, and it has a lug-to-lug distance. I measure it at 45.5, and of course a lug width of 22 millimeters. Bezel action is very similar to the bezel action with the Avocado, and that should not come as a surprise. At least they are consistent in that respect. And let's see, because my Avocado had a pretty big misalignment on the index at 6. Let's see if this one is aligned properly. That would be a miracle. And it seems the miracle has happened. This looks to be aligned properly. I'm not a very big fan of mesh bracelets, but I think that with this look, it does work very well. And besides from the design, the big novelty of this watch is that it has that 4R36 movement, which hacks and hand winds, which the SKX didn't have. The SKX has the 7S26 movement, which is about the same, but it just doesn't hack and hand wind. And that is a big novelty. So let's take a look at the movement. And of course, that 4R36 movement is sticking away strongly there. As you can see, it's a very rudimentary movement, nothing to write home about. And the only difference with the other 4R movements is in the rotor. It has the Seiko 5 new logo. And there is the, the controversial point that this watch is resistant just to 10 bar. This is my first disappointment. Plus 27. That is really high. Plus 20 on the 3-up position, and only plus 8 on the dial down position. That accuracy is very disappointing, because the Avocado that I had last week has been running almost perfectly. I think it's doing like plus 0.2 a day or something like that in average. So there you go. When you get a lower tier Seiko watch, they don't of course bother to regulate these watches. So there is a lume video, and from my experience, well, this lume looks as good as the one on the SKX. Let's see about this bracelet. So this mesh bracelet looks to be an okay quality. I'm not a mesh expert, but it looks fine, I think. And I haven't sized it yet, but I think the finish, the fit for my 6.5 inch or 16.5 centimeter wrist is perfect. And I think this can work very well in a business environment, hence why it's called suits. And I said it, I state again, for me, of the whole collection, this is the most handsome of them all. Maybe not the most interesting. I think that crown goes to the quirky avocado, but at least the most handsome and maybe even the most versatile. If you, with that little touch of pizzazz, with that cream lume and chaptering, I think it gives it a very nice personality. And with the mesh bracelet, I think it goes very well. And again, as I said in my video before, I think that design-wise and in order to appeal to a wider, younger crowd, Seiko have nailed it. Look at these two watches. They look like whole different watches. They have managed to make them so different and so interesting on their own respect that I see, well, people like myself buying 2-3 of these. Maybe it's like a new swatch. I think the key with these watches, as I said before, is about looks, about the style, about the personality that they reflect. I wasn't at all in that train of thought before. When these came out, I was with all the other watch enthusiasts with my pitch and fork saying that, Seiko, what are you doing? You have degenerated the SKX, bring back the SKX, how can these not be ISO certified divers, and etc, etc. But holding these watches in hand, I see what they're going for. A contentious point could be the price. These watches, I searched for deals and I paid about 250 euros for each, which is quite a lot of money. If you compare these to other releases on the Seiko 5 line, you can see that these are not good value for money, as you can have the Seiko Urchin, the Sea Urchin, or the Seiko 55 Fathoms for half the price of these, giving you the same functionality, the same dive style of watch. Stay tuned for the comparison with the Seiko SKX, the venerable Seiko SKX, coming up very soon on the channel. Thank you and goodbye.